when people ask me what I do, how did you become a coach? And I tell them, well, I've been coaching for 20 years. I just had a different job title. People tended to call me pastor instead of coach. And that's what I've been doing for 20 years. I've been serving in the local church, leading people, facilitating transformation in their lives, developing leaders, leading a large organization and helping in a lot of ways. But I've also always been an entrepreneur. My twin brother and I started our first business when we were in middle school, and we grew that till we were in college. And that was a lot of fun. We learned a lot. And the church that I'm at right now, I've been here for 19 years, so I know a little bit about longevity. And while I've been here, the unique environment is because my pastor, before he started this church, he was an extremely successful business owner. He had 3 or 4 businesses. He had 300 people on his payroll. He was crushing it in the business world, and yet he felt like he was supposed to take a step of faith and step away from that and do this other thing, and he did. And because of that, our organization has always been extremely entrepreneurial, extremely leadership and culture focused. And so I was in my early 20s as a youth pastor, cutting my teeth on books like Good to Great and The E-Myth Revisited and 7 Habits of Highly Effective People and every leadership book John Maxwell ever wrote. And so I've always been in this personal development leadership space, just applying it in a different arena. So about 3 years ago, I started to feel there was a shift, that there was an expansion of calling coming. It's kind of how I felt it and heard it in my spirit. I didn't even know what to do with that. But as Providence would have it, about that time, an acquaintance reached out to me on Facebook. I knew him, I knew of him, but didn't really know him. He reached out to me and invited me to lunch. An acquaintance on Facebook, out of the blue, inviting me to lunch. So what was my first thought? Yep, you guessed it. I thought he wanted to sell me something. I thought he was in some multi-level marketing thing. I was a skeptic. Turns out that he didn't want to sell me anything. He'd been complaining to his wife, saying, I don't have friends who think like me, who are growing like me. And he's like, I need some friends. And his wife said, well, you need to stop complaining, and you need to reach out to Mark Keene, because he's always posting stuff on Facebook. Sounds just like you. And so thankfully, my friend Daniel listened to his wife, and he reached out to me. And so we sat down for lunch, and I tell you what, it was this divine connection, the universe orchestrated. We sat there and talked for hours and hours and hours, and we talked about the books we're reading and how we're growing as a leader and how we want to be better husbands and dads and leaders and business owners. And every time I walk away from this guy, I feel like I'm just going to take over the world. I'm going to change the world and bring transformation to everyone. That's the kind of relationship I have with this guy. And so 3 years ago, we sat down and we were having this conversation, and I guess I should tell you, my friend there's this guy named Tony Robbins, who is a personal development and business professional extraordinaire, and Daniel has been to all his events, and he's drank the Kool-Aid, okay? Not just the Kool-Aid, every flavor of the Kool-Aid. And if you aren't familiar with Tony Robbins, go ahead and check him out. He's going to change your life. So we started talking, we started hanging out consistently, and a couple months into it, Daniel looks at me and he says, Mark, got this mastermind that I think you need to join. You'd be a great fit. And this is where I said, master what? Because I seriously did not know what a mastermind even was. And so Daniel explained it to me. This happened to be a group of all men. He said, small group of people, like-minded business owners, entrepreneurs, some guys working the 9 to 5, wanting to break out of that, create their own thing. And he says, I think you'd be a great fit. And the next thing out of his mouth was, we meet on Sunday mornings at 6 a.m. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me! Sundays are kind of a long day with the other job that I serve in. And so I said no. Resistance within me totally said no. But this guy, he's a crazy firewalking personal development guy. And so he wore me down, right? And I ended up getting into this group. And I tell you what, I thought I was growing before I got into this mastermind. I've been leading for 20 years at a high level, been getting results in people's lives, building organizations. I thought I was leading and growing, and I got in this mastermind, and it was like rocket fuel on my life. It began to impact every area of my life, the habits of success, the mindset of success, taking massive action like I never had before. And it rippled into my whole life, my marriage, my relationships, my business, my leadership. It changed everything. And I didn't have the language back then, but it was the peer group. I'd never had a peer group that was playing full out at that level. And one of my favorite Tony Robbins quotes, he says, your life will be the direct reflection of the expectation of your peer group. And I experienced that in a powerful way for the first time. And so I ended up adding some one-on-one business coaching on top of that. That amplified things, and my life was changing even more than I realized it. To that point, we got to the end of that first year, and my wife and I were going out to dinner, sitting at the dinner table, just the two of us. We've been married 19 years, and we have 3 adorable kids who we love dearly. But we're sitting at the dinner table, just the two of us, last week of the year. And I looked at my wife and I said, "Honey, what was the highlight of the year?" And she didn't really hesitate. And she looked back at me and she said, "Watching you change." Still kind of floors me as I even share the story, but she said, "You're not the same person you were a year ago. You're totally different." And I knew I was growing, but I didn't realize how much I had grown during that time. And so that I kind of soaked that in, but my next thought was basically, I could do this for other people. Really, I've been doing it for 20 years in a different space with these groups, but I could do this for business owners and entrepreneurs and growth-minded people who want to make a contribution and become the best version of themselves and change the world and add value to the world. I thought I could do that. And then I thought, well, if I could, maybe I should. And then pretty quickly it became, oh my goodness, God put me on the planet to do this. I must do it. And it became a must. It became compelling on the inside of me. And so I made a decision. Within 30 days, I had my first clients committed to a mastermind. Within 60 days, I launched my first mastermind. It was amazing. I couldn't believe it. I was getting to serve people and help them create a life that they love. And so I kept going, and I launched my second, and then I launched my third, and then I had clients getting such great results in the mastermind that they went into elite coaching, which is what I do one-on-one with clients to really push into their goals, their outcomes that they want to pursue. And I was having the time of my life. I was hearing testimonials. Those early groups I led were all men. Now I lead groups that are all men and women. But those early groups, I heard testimonies like, my marriage has never been the same. I heard testimonies from small business owners saying, I've become a better leader because of the mastermind, and now I get better results out of my team. And one of my favorite stories is from a client who went into elite coaching, and in his first year with me, his business revenue increased $800,000. I thought, I'm made for this. Could life get any better? I was having the time of my life, and then I was invited to go to this Tony Robbins event, and I walked into Unleash the Power Within event in West Palm Beach to 12,000 people focused on growth and contribution and love and connection in a deep way. I walked into the room and I thought, my people, where have you been all my life? And it was a powerful experience. My wife went with us. It brought us into a powerful alignment, changed our lives. But I was also processing it in another way because I looked around at all these people and I thought, hey, I'm going to go back, and I've got the support, the system in my life to support these things. I'm going to take all these tools from Tony and Joseph McClendon III and the other speakers, and I'm going to apply them in my life because I'm in a mastermind every week. That same mastermind, going on 3 years in that group. They're life to me every single week. I got a coach that I'm paying every single week to push me, to challenge me, to help me see my blind spots. And so I've got a structure in place that I can take these tools, implement them, and not scrape and claw to just hang on to the momentum, but actually build the momentum and take it through the roof. And I knew I had that, but I looked around and I thought, what, 80, 90% of the people here, they're going to go back and they don't have that. They don't have the support. In fact, they're going into negative environments, not positive ones. And so they're going to lose the focus, the clarity, the momentum. They're going to go from a beautiful state to a suffering state really fast. And I thought, you know what? I have the solution to that. And so that is when I made the decision to begin leading masterminds exclusively for alumni at Tony Robbins events. And that was kind of the second group of my mastermind. So I had this first group of like all these guys that I was pulling together. Now I had this another venture of doing this. And so I started my first UPW mastermind. It was amazing. It was powerful. It was life-changing. If you don't know anything about the event, people walk on fire. Yes, I've done it twice now, and it changed your life, because if you can walk on fire, what can't you do? So you bring these 5 to 8 people into this small group, and they've walked on fire, and they're speaking the same language, and they're focused on growth and contribution and love and connection, and the synergy of that is mind-blowing. Every single week, putting yourself in that environment. You would have to work at it not to grow, not for your life to explode to a whole nother level. And so I started my first group with those alumni of those events. Started my first, and then my second, and then my third, and then my fourth, and my fifth, and then I started my sixth, my seventh, and eighth, and then I started my ninth, and getting ready to launch number 9, or 10, and 11. People's lives are being changed, and they go through a 6-month season, and they keep coming back for more. And I would ask you, do you have a group like that of people that are pushing you and challenging you and sharpening you, celebrating your successes? You don't have to play small in these groups. I love that. No playing small. You aren't even allowed to. So you got a group that's going to push and challenge and sharpen and call you out on your excuses and bring out the greatness in you. And so that's what I get to create. That's what I facilitate. Now I've got a team of coaches all across the country, and we're creating those environments every single week. We're not just doing that. Now we're doing the elite coaching where we get to push into people's lives just one-on-one. We're doing courses. We're creating transformation. We're helping people create a life that they love. And so if you need more of that, I don't think it's an accident that you're on this site today. If this story resonates with you, you need to look for your next step. If you're making a decision right now to say, hey, I need what he's got, I need what they're creating, don't leave the side of a decision without taking action. Click the link, contact us, let us serve you, let us help you achieve that level of transformation, that level of growth and contribution you desire, because I believe we can. That's my desire. That's my passion. That's what I put on this planet to do, to help you create that life. I look forward to connecting with you soon.